Hello everyone, welcome to Hidden in Plain Sight. Today's walk and talk topics are going to include prayer and spiritual warfare. Now I will say that this is not an all-encompassing video. I am still learning things myself, but it's on that topic, especially because there are more and more people that are choosing to tell me that they're praying for me, and I just really feel led to address this topic. Basically what Jesus has been showing me as it surrounds prayer, because it is very much powerful. And I'm not trying to deter people from praying for me if they feel led to do so. But I've also been led not to pray for people, even fellow believers, because of what Jesus has shown me about prayer and what it does and what it does to you when you are praying for someone. And the thing that I wanted to address is that when you're praying for me and when you're praying for others, you're not only asking Jesus to do something in their life, but you're also essentially standing there with them. Okay, where was I? I was generously interrupted with lovely lavender sprigs from my chosen moss. So, as I was saying, when you are praying for someone, you're asking Jesus to do something, and you're also standing with them with their spiritual battles. That includes going up against their demons, their spirits, any demons or spirits that are against them as well. Thankfully, over the last several years, Jesus has removed a lot of spirits and demons from me that were generational, ancestral, different spirits and demons that I acquired through the abuse and trauma that I endured. I don't doubt that I still have a few residual ones that he'll reveal to me in time too. But I do get spiritually attacked because I am essentially betraying Satan's kingdom by walking away from Satan's kingdom and walking away from my bloodline and rejecting them and their ways and exposing those things. And so by praying for me, you are also standing beside me and fighting those fights with me. And I just want people to be informed in that decision so that they make an informed decision with Jesus as they take on these battles with me. Because I am dealing with so many battles and people that are in the spirit realm against me for who I am and what I know, I've been led to not take on certain people's battles because I've got a big enough battle of my own fighting, essentially, Satan's kingdom. You know, they are fighting to try to get me back into their kingdom. They're fighting to silence me. They're fighting to get back into controlling me. And obviously they're not going to win, but that is a constant battle that I'm fighting every single day. And so, yeah, I also wanted to address things like rebuking spirits. While I don't doubt that there is a time and a place for that, I do believe there is in the Bible, in Jesus' book, where Jesus himself also rebuked Satan at some point. But I believe that when one is led to do that through Jesus, it should be through Jesus that it's done, and not just because he did that in the Bible. I don't believe that he did it every single time. And for my own personal journey with facing different spirits and demons, I have not been led to very specifically rebuke them. There's been a lot of times where I've actually been led to thank them for their purpose in my life. A majority of those spirits that I thanked tended to be spirits that I believe were reconciling with Jesus, and also I wouldn't say they were harmful or rebellious or demonic spirits, but it doesn't necessarily mean that all spirits are supposed to be rebuked. Sometimes they have their own purpose. Sometimes they do things for us to help us endure things that I don't necessarily think Jesus wants us to go through, but they become kind of like a helper spirit in the moment. There was one time when I was a child. It was related to the mkultra training, training exercises, whatever you want to call it. And looking back on it now, I know that it was a training exercise that was meant to harness and invoke the wolf spirit in all of the children. And it's still hard to talk about, which is kind of why I don't do a lot of videos, because it's really hard to verbalize the weight of things that have happened to me. It's why I do prefer to write out things. It just kind of flows better, and I feel like the weight of the emotions are a little bit easier to carry than verbalizing them. I don't know how else to explain it other than that, but basically well, you know what? I'm just gonna say, if you have questions about the specifics of that, we could talk about it another time. Or those who know how to find me can private message me, because I don't know if I'm feeling ready to verbalize that one. It's still a hard one, but the point that I'm trying to make is that during that event, originally I had a wolf spirit manifesting, and when I asked Jesus to expose how I received that wolf spirit, that's when that flashback memory came forward and connected the dots for me. And he kind of showed me that he sent me that spirit to help me survive that incident and event. And I genuinely can remember thanking that spirit for being protective of me and trying to be a type of protector spirit for me in the midst of, quite literally, other wolves. So, not all spirits and not all animal spirits are going to be bad, and therefore not all of them should be rebuked. In many cases, just simply asking Jesus to identify them and remove them and replace them with his spirit is the very simple formula for dealing with many, many spirits. I'll talk more about that in the days to come, but I just noticed that a lot of people are commenting about that, and it doesn't sit well with me, because what I can feel off of certain people's words when they proclaim that they rebuke Satan and other spirits is because it's out of fear. They tend to try to, as weird as it's going to sound to say this, manipulate the Holy Spirit into pushing spirits away and trying to, use Jesus and his authority in a way that I don't necessarily feel like he leads a lot of us to deal with the spirits in the spirit realm. He is the King of Kings and he is over all the spirits, but I just think that we need to be talking to him instead of invoking his spirit to deal with other spirits, and kind of ask him what he wants us to be doing as we come across different spirits, including as we come across Satan himself. So I just wanted to encourage that, so that people keep talking to Jesus and use and learn spiritual discernment as it relates to prayer, as it relates to spiritual warfare, because we are stepping into a battle, and we've been in a battle, and it's not being taught correctly. And I don't think it's as showy and commanding as so many churches really push it to be, you know. That's something else that I'll probably be talking about in future videos. You know, I have people asking me about how I escaped my abusers, and I just kind of laugh at this point, because I get reminded of all the times that Jesus has been there and just moving on my behalf, but in the least showy way possible. And it's just quite amusing, you know. So many people want to say that, you know, Jesus is gonna show up in this amazing showy way when he returns, and I'm starting to think that he might just show up in some of the quieter ways he's shown up before, not only in my life, sneaking in the midst of Sheol and darkness, and you know, camping in the enemy's camp to get me out, and also in the ways that he's came here as a baby and just, you know, not very showy, and very vulnerable, kind of dependable way. And I'm not saying that he'll be that way the second time, but I just don't think it's going to be as showy as so many churches like to teach. And I'm kind of realizing that truth myself. I mean, I'm totally fine if he shows up in a showy way. I'm not going to tell him how to, you know, do his entrance or anything as he returns, but I just think it might be quite amusing if he didn't show up in a very showy way, and it kind of surprises people in that way too. So he certainly surprised me in the ways that he's shown up in my life, in very discreet ways, and in the ways that he helped me to escape, which I'll share in another time. But yeah, so use your spiritual discernment, keep talking to Jesus, and just know that what you are taking on is what Jesus wants you to take on. And if it's not what he wants you to take on, that's okay. I'm not going to be offended. I know that the battle that I have before me is quite great, and I know the battle that we all have before us as it relates to the light versus the darkness, Satan versus Jesus, and all that is very big. So, anyways, it's quite warm out today, so I think I'm gonna keep this video short and talk to you guys soon. Bye!